Jay?
Okay.
Good.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
Mhm.
Next, Beth, do you want to update us about the 75th reunion book?
Sure. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Okay. It's going really well. I wish Mark were here to tell you more about it. He's doing the lion's share of everything right now. It's all on his computer. It's about 75% complete. The book itself is going to be longer than we expected, a lot more hours going into, the work into it. We expect it to be done by the end of the month. So the end of January. And once it goes to the printer, it's only going to take about 7 to 10 days to print. So we're hoping for like third week of February, it should be in everybody's mailboxes. The printer is taking care of mailing it out for us. In total, the book should be about 150 to 115 rather to 120 pages. It's going to have all the pictures from the slideshow, plus the pictures that people sent in that did not get into the slideshow. It's going to have lots of pictures from the reunion from Friday night through the picnic on Sunday. It has the list of the sponsors. It has lists of past presidents. It has lists of, we have a whole section of memorial in memory of people. People send stuff in for that. There's a section of people's memories. Stephen spoke to a lot of people and recorded a lot of people at the reunion, giving their just their memories of growing up in, Hendel's and all of that. It's going to be a really nice book. It does not have the genealogy like the past books have had. We decided that wasn't necessary to put in there this time. That can all be found online. It's going to be a really nice book. I'm really happy with the way it's turning out.
Thank you.
Good. Questions? Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Beth.
And on that note, I do have to say goodbye to everybody.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us. And
Thanks.
Okay, next on the agenda is the minutes of last year's annual meeting, which were emailed to everybody. But I just wanted to add a few things to those minutes. The names of the people that we lost 2 years ago were Richard Antipit, William Wakefield, and Martin Wakefield. I also wanted to add that we had 3 $5,000 grants given by the HHH fund 2 years ago. And can someone make a motion to approve last year's annual minutes?
So moved.
Seconded.
Second it. Okay, next on the agenda. Oh, thank you. And thank you, Brenda, for doing all the minutes. Brenda has worked for 10 years as a recording secretary, and we really appreciate all the work she's done. Brenda, I just want to make sure, Brenda, is she here? Because otherwise I want to call her and put her on the speaker.
She's not listed as attending.
Okay, let me call her. Hold on, I'm sorry, I was supposed to call her. Okay, Brenda. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna put her right here. Can someone else call Brenda at the house? Does someone have Brenda's number and can just?
I have it.
Diane's calling right now.
Okay, thank you. Next is the Hendel's Helping Hendel's Fund update. Jay Takath is going to give us that update.
Thanks, Shelley. As a reminder, the Hendel's Helping Hendel's, aka HHH, was established 3 years ago to assist fellow Hendel cousins with short-term financial assistance
Okay, hold,
to cover such necessities.
okay, hold on a minute. Yeah, hold on a minute. We can, Jay, I'm gonna unfortunately interrupt you for a minute. I have her on the phone. Shelley, what do you want to, she can't get on the call?
Okay, just, you know what, put her on the speaker and she'll she'll listen to the rest of the meeting.
Okay, I have you on the speaker, Brenda, so you should be able to hear the meeting.
Okay, that's great.
Okay, good.
I'm gonna try to keep trying to get on it, but if I can't, it's just not. I'm gonna hit retry and see what happens.
Okay, great.
Hitting on joining meeting, but it's not
Oh, okay,
letting me join here.
Yeah.
So,
Go ahead, Jay.
okay. I'll just listen and take notes from there.
great. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So as I was saying, the HH fund is bankrupt. We have no more money, and I'll have to provide a fuller report later. No, again, it was created 3 years ago to help fellow cousins with short-term financial assistance to cover such things as medicine, food, shelter, utilities, tuition, etc. All requests for support remain totally anonymous. We have no information when reviewing or even after approving a grant request who it is for. All that work is handled by an anonymous, trusted, non-Hendel third-party administrator. HHH was the brainchild of our late beloved cousin, Sonny Hendel, who also provided substantial seed funding, as did a few other families. The current balance held in a non-taxable, non-interest-bearing account at M&T Bank is almost $59,000. There was one contribution this year of $40. About $10,000 was transferred in and transferred out of the account as it was used as the vehicle to collect 75th reunion fees, which were then all passed on to the Hendel Family Association's treasury account. There's been a total of 4 approved grants over the past 3 years, averaging about $5,000 each. There were no grants approved in the past year. There was one grant request submitted. It was not approved. The request was deemed to be outside the parameters of the purposes for which the HHH fund was established. This was the first time a request for assistance was not approved. Rest assured that Sherry Turner, Brenda Hendel, and I, the current administrators of the fund, thoroughly wrestled with this decision. Only Sherry and I have access to that M&T bank account, and we and Brenda review all the requests for funding. As young and as spry as Brenda, Sherry, and I are, we are anxious to include another family member in the review process of requests for help from the HHH fund. Preferences will be given to family members under 50 years of age. I'm looking for Donnie Hendel for exemption from any age discrimination lawsuits that may arise from this criteria. You could raise your hand now or send Sherry or I a note after the Zoom meeting if you are interested in joining us as administrators of this fund. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. And thank you for the work that you do. Next on the agenda is the picnic report, the 2024 picnic report. And Barry's going to tell us about that and include the discussion of the kosher hamburger meat.
Thank you, Shelley. We had a successful picnic. There were a lot of people there. Phil Antiput and I did the adequate cooking, and I want to thank Allison and first Allison. I'm blanking on your partner's name, Allison. Jeffrey, for setting up, and everything went pretty smoothly. The ice cream truck was a little bit of I got some feedback that the ice cream wasn't very good, and it was just a strange setup that Michael's had. So we'll talk about that when 2025 picnic comes up to see what we want to do. The main I think we had over 100 people come to the picnic, which was very good. The main issue we had before was the discussion of kosher meat at the picnic. We did do a straw poll as to the picnic attendees as to whether they wanted kosher food, and almost unanimously, it was like 5 or 6 people out of all the requests requested kosher only. The rest didn't really care. And we came up with the idea of offering kosher to those who wanted it and non-kosher to the rest to save some money, because it's very expensive to do it that way. But this year we decided to stay all kosher. But it is my feeling that we should bring this up again for discussion. It's not in the bylaws that it has to be kosher food. There are only a few members of our association that are still kosher. And anyway, from what I've discussed with a couple of rabbis, the way we're cooking that kosher meat is not kosher when it comes off those grills. So the way we cook it. So it's totally up to discussion. So I'm looking for people to speak about that. That's what I have, Shelley. So if you want to have a discussion now, feel free. Anybody wants to chime in.
Point of order. Can you explain what you just said, please?
Yes. I spoke to 2 rabbis here, Orthodox rabbi, one Orthodox, one conservative, and they stated that if we do not cook kosher hamburgers on foil on those grills, they do not come off kosher. They're non-kosher as soon as we put them on those grills. That's what they explained to me.
The meat is kosher.
The meat's kosher, but it's not kosher when it goes on those grills.
Well, for years I was under the impression that once those grills burned off, you could cook kosher meat on it.
That's not what the rabbis told me.
The rabbis are right.
Well, I don't know.
And on top of that, we had ice cream less than an hour after the burgers. So that in itself is not kosher. So, the idea was that you could check off if you wanted kosher, and we would buy kosher for those who wanted it. We could cook it on a separate grill on top of foil. And anybody who was not that specific, we could just do it the way we've been doing it, but with, store-bought ground beef burgers. That's what we had discussed in the reunion. And that was approved by the reunion committee before we changed our mind and went back to the way it was before. So that's where we stand at the moment. We're awaiting guidance for next year's picnic from the association.
But Barry, why is there this consideration for the picnic when, as far as I'm aware, there wasn't consideration for the potluck, for the brunch, or for the Saturday night dinner?
That was not my purview. I was just discussing the picnic. That's the rest of that's the association.
There were enough vegetarian salads and so forth. I'm one that only eats kosher meat, kosher chicken. It's Gail speaking. So there was enough vegetarian options Friday night. I didn't eat anything except salads. And I had salmon. That's my choice. I know the salmon was cooked, where the salmon was cooked. I know all the details, but that is my choice to be social. So I ate the fish. However, to me, truthfully, I don't care if it's cooked on that grill that has burned off. I just want kosher meat. You don't know what they put in that hamburger. That's not kosher.
Right.
So, I mean, they could put pork, they could put bones, who knows what they put in there. So, my request is, and I'm not speaking for anybody else, is since David and I always attend, I would like kosher hamburger. If I have to, I'll just bring my own. But truthfully, they make Beyond Burger now, which is fake plant-based hamburger, which is fabulous because I cook it in my own home.
So I think the proposal is to continue to have an option for people who want kosher to continue to offer kosher. And it sounds like that's acceptable.
Can you tell us how many people would like kosher? How many are,
That would be on the form you would fill out to come to the picnic. All you have to do is check a box and we'll buy you kosher. That's not an issue. That can be done.
No,
And it can be cooked separately the way that the rabbis tell me is strictly kosher, which is to put oil on the grill, even once it's burned off, and put the burgers on that. That's what they told me would make it 100% kosher.
And you would need a new flipper, spatula, or whatever you call it.
Easy enough. Easy. That's a very inexpensive thing.
It is easy.
So Gail, that would be okay with you if we serve both?
It would be okay with me if that grill was separated, so there'd be no confusion. Yes, it would be okay with me. David kept arguing. I mean, David's here, he could speak for himself, but while I'm speaking, David and a few others have always thought that it was in the bylaws. I mean, I can't speak for that because I don't know, but I can tell you, I would be comfortable with a separate grill and foil.
Okay, so I think that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna offer.
I think I agree with everyone's decision that offering both is a good idea. I think if the registration for the whole weekend indicated whether people have kosher preferences, then there could be a more advanced planning for there to be kosher vegetarian options at the potluck, at the gala, and at the picnic. And also, if it is difficult to manage the actual kosher status for the things that are cooked at the potluck, or sorry, at the picnic, then there could just be a separate, like, to buy kosher hamburgers made to order before the picnic, and they would be presented as part of the spread, but maybe not cooked at the grill if the Harkness grill is if that grill is a problem.
I have a question. Steve, Shelley, I have a question.
Yes, what is your question, David?
This whole question of kosher versus non-kosher, what is the reason for it? Is it the cost of the meat or the taste of the meat?
The cost.
oh,
It's,
both?
it's not just
Some
that.
people
It's
think it's both, I think. Some people,
not just that, Shelley. Phil and I do all the cooking. It is a slow, intensive process to cook those kosher hamburgers. They don't cook fast. We're standing at the grill at least twice as much to cook those burgers.
I don't know.
Than a regular hamburger.
Why would that be?
Because they come the way they are. There's not a lot of fat in them, and they don't cook very fast.
but
And
this year we did
I've stood there for an hour and a half sometimes cooking kosher hamburgers, where I could have probably done it in less than 45 minutes with non-kosher hamburgers. I've been doing this for 15 years. It's making it very hard on us because we don't get to enjoy the picnic because we're there on that grill for an hour and a half. So it makes it easier for us, and it will also cut down on the cost. We wouldn't lose as much as the picnic if the cost of the goods we're buying is a lot less, and it is a lot less. And I'm sorry to say, but I disagree with you totally. If you get a beef, 100% Angus beef burger from a market, there is no pork in it. I'm sorry to tell you that's wrong. And I'm not going to argue with you, but I'm just telling you that isn't from where we would get it. It'd be guaranteed to be 100% beef.
Okay, but I think we have an agreement that we can offer both.
right.
I have no problem with that. I'm just trying to making it easier for Phil and I.
Okay, so I think that's what we'll do, starting next summer. And you'll be there to cook it for us. Thank you. And
Good.
thank you, Barry, for giving the
So in other
picnic.
words, you're gonna have two separate grills, one for kosher, one for non-kosher?
Exactly.
So we're gonna have one pavilion for Jews and one for non-Jews.
Yes.
But you're not gonna cook the Hebrew National hot dogs with those kosher hamburgers, I hope.
The way that grill is set up, the bigger one, is, there are two of them, and one of them is a much larger cooking surface and it's separated. There's a metal bar between them. So the kosher hamburgers can be on one side and the hot dogs on the other. And then on the second grill, we can put the regular burgers and whatever else we cook, the onions or the potatoes, whatever it is.
Okay, I think that sounds like that will work.
I just have one other question. And I don't mean to be a pain. Why can't the kosher hamburgers be separate on that smaller grill?
I don't understand what you mean. They are gonna be separate.
You said it's part of the hot dogs on one side and the hamburgers on the other. Because
No.
then you can get mixed up using the spatula.
How, if you use the same spatula for the kosher hamburgers and the kosher hot dogs? how you
You ask your Orthodox rabbi how kosher are Hebrew National. I don't want to get into this, but you ask your Orthodox rabbi, because I only go to Orthodox. Not that I am a practicing Orthodox Jew, but you ask your Orthodox rabbi about Hebrew National products, you'll be very, very surprised, because many, many years ago, even the Crown Market used Hebrew National meat from the slaughterhouse. And that's when the conservative rabbis came in, because it was deemed not Orthodox kosher. And so since that time, something was wrong. I don't know what it was, but something was wrong in the slaughterhouse, and none of the Hebrew National products, I would say since 20 years ago, are not considered Orthodox or kosher. So I don't want to get into a discussion about it, but you talk to your Orthodox rabbi and you'll see what I'm saying.
If they have the hechsher on the package.
They don't.
And you get a brand that is a Meal Mart brand, you ever get whatever the hechsher brand is. That's how we go, is by the hechsher.
Okay, that's fine.
Any kosher product you buy in the market, if it has the hechsher, it's kosher. If it's parve,
You're
it says
right.
parve.
You're right, but that doesn't include Hebrew National. It doesn't have a.
I didn't say they had to be Hebrew National. There are other brands. There are other brands.
You're absolutely right, but the people at the picnic always use Hebrew National.
Well, tell Phil to get a different brand. That's easy enough. Easy enough solved.
A K and a triangle.
I don't know if the K is.
Can we move on?
Yes.
I think at least we can offer both and everyone will be happy. That's good.
I don't
Can
care.
Can I ask a question? Bev to Kath, can I ask a question?
Question?
I have a picture on the computer phone of Hebrew National francs. Dave, your wife, what does she consider a hechsher on the francs? There is a K on it and
In a triangle.
a triangle.
A triangle K is
Let's move
not
on.
considered acceptable
Let's move on.
Say that.
Orthodox, and let's not discuss it anymore.
Let's move on.
Okay, I agree with Steve. Let's move on. Okay, thank you, Barry, for going over that. And next is the treasurer's report. So Diane, can you give us your final report?
My
You're not-
final report.
Not in Las
No,
Vegas?
Diane has been diligently handling the books and finances for over 40 years.
I realize, I have to take that back, that there was a 5-year term where I did not handle it, that, because we went back through the list and there were 5 years that I didn't do at some point in there. So,
Okay, but so this is your last treasurer,
It wasn't continuous.
It wasn't continuous, so it's
okay,
somewhere around there. All right, all right, so this is my final report. Donnie, you're still on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see him there. Okay. Hopefully, if we let Donnie be the treasurer, he's gonna be taking over. Yay. All right, so right now we have $35,689 in the checking account. Last year at this time, we had a funds balance of $28,713. So obviously, that's a lot of extra because we had money from the reunion. And I said that included donations and expenses that have started to come in for the reunion. We have collected $1,560 in dues this year, up from $1,040 from 2023. And that's because over 150 family members have actually joined us this year, which is great. I think it's the most I've ever seen. Expenses for the year included donations of $50 each to the Community Foundation of Eastern Connecticut in the amount of $250 in memory of Leon Pollock, Karen Whipple, Marilyn Check, Eugene Hendel, and Sylvia Wakefield. Printing and postage costs were $291.32, and most of the printing and postage costs were for the reunion this year. The summer picnic. The cost of the summer picnic was covered by donations from family members as part of the reunion. Now, going on to the reunion 2024, we actually had a total income of $41,761.79, which included both donations and registration. Costs to date for the reunion is $27,557.92, leaving a funds balance of $14,203.87. The additional costs will include the printing and mailing of the reunion book, and we don't have the cost of either of those items yet. Are there any questions?
Motion to accept the treasurer's report.
I just have to say kudos to the fundraising committee. Unbelievable job raising money for the reunion. Just unbelievable job.
I agree, that's true.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Diane, for that treasurer report and all the others as well. Okay, next is the Hendel Family Scholarship Report. Steve, do you want to give us that report?
I will indeed. We have two scholarships that the family oversees. The Hendel Family Association Scholarship and the Dr. Isidore Hendel Memorial Scholarship. The Hendel Family Association Scholarship current balance is $168,952.14. And the Dr. Isidore Hendel Memorial Scholarship current balance is $22,554.14. The Hendel Family Association Scholarship recipient this year was Francesca Bazil. She's a 2024 graduate of New Orleans High School who is studying finance and journalism at the University of Connecticut toward a career in sports photography and sports journalism. And a fuller description of her background was in the last Hendel letter. That scholarship is for someone who has experienced challenges in her life, like our forebearers did, and has overcome them. And it's a very moving profile that you can read in the last Hendel letter. The Dr. Isidore Hendel Memorial Scholarship recipient is Breanne Kilcommons. She's a 2024 graduate of Waterford High School, where Doc Hendel spent many, many decades as the school physician, and she is studying business at Clemson University.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you.
I have a question.
Okay,
Steve, what is the value, how much do we give out to each student in terms of a scholarship?
The actual amount varies, and it goes, of course, to their universities. I think the Hendel Family Association, I'd have to actually look to check, but I think is about $3,000
Okay,
a year. And I think the Isidore Hendel one is about $1,000 a year.
okay. The reason I brought this up is I belong to another association that also gives out scholarships. And with the cost of college education going so much skyrocketing, is in terms of the 1,000, is that actually do anything for the student? That maybe we should talk about at some point raising it.
Well, yeah, certainly, raising it would be great. Of course, you have to raise the fund balance to do that. Although I think for the Dr. Isidore Hendel one, I think the community foundation actually adds
They do.
to it because
They match it? match
ours doesn't amount to $1,000 from our fund balance. So I think they chip in. The other
Okay.
one is completely from our own fund balance.
Okay. That was my question. Okay.
Mary, I could add a couple details to that because Steve and I spoke with the foundation professionals as we were raising additional funds for the account a couple years ago. And the withdrawals from the corpus, which is $160,000+, is not at our discretion. The community foundation sets a withdrawal policy based upon an average of so many years return on the market. And they decide how many recipients will receive that amount. Sometimes it is 2 or 3 students, sometimes it is less. And the family for a number of years now also has had no say, in appropriately so, in who that recipient is. Both the dispersal of funds and who receives it is a matter exclusively for the community foundation.
Okay. All right.
But it's according to the criteria that was set up with so it's the
Yes.
criteria we established, but they are the ones that make the selection.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, everyone, and thank you, Steve and Jay and Barry, for that. So now I'll just give a few words about my experience as the president. I've had the honor of serving as the president of the Hendel Family Association for the last 2 years. During that time, I've worked with the board, the gala co-chairs, and many volunteers who worked on the 75th reunion. We first gathered Friday night at Diane and Steve Smith's house for the potluck dinner and the brunch the next afternoon. No, and I'm sorry, and the brunch the next day at Ruth and Stephen's house. Saturday afternoon, we had a tour of the Lyman Allen Museum, which began in the Hendel Library. Saturday evening was the gala at the Coast Guard Academy. The weekend ended with the picnic at Waterford Beach. You know what they say, it takes a village. That is truly the case. I would like to thank the board, which includes Barry Schiff, Vice President, Don Hendel, Legal Consultant, Steve Smith, Corresponding Secretary, Allison Hendel, Gala Co-Chair, Mark Hendel, Archivist. Unfortunately, Mark couldn't be here today, but he has agreed to continue as a family archivist. He will maintain and update our website. I would like to recognize and thank the following 2 board members who have devoted countless hours to the Hendel Family Association. First is Brenda Hendel, who for 10 years has been the recording secretary, taking minutes for all of the meetings. Thank you, Brenda. Next is Diane Smith, who has been the treasurer for over 40 years, even if it's not continuous. Thank you, Diane. I cannot thank Brenda and Diane enough for their dedication to the family. Our reunion this past August 16th to 18th was a huge success, thanks to the many members who volunteered their time, as well as a number of them letting us use their homes, and also many who provided financial contributions towards the weekend. At the reunion, it was great to see family members I have not seen for years, sometimes even decades, and meet other family members I didn't know. I went to New London High School with 4 of my cousins, so we were 5 Hendels in our class. 4 of us attended the reunion, and it was great to create new memories with these cousins. We have a great board for next year, and I know you will all enjoy working together. If anyone is interested in working with the board, please reach out to one of the board members. You won't be sorry you did. Next on the agenda is the nominating committee board. Okay, can you give us our slate of officers?
Will do. As is Hendel Family Association tradition, before I give my report, I'd like to say a few things. Thank you to my partners in crime who served on the nominating committee with me, Richard Irwin, Diane Smith, Sherry Turner, and Shelley Zelson. I'd also like to thank those family members who served as ex officio members, meaning when asked if they would serve as an officer, they declined, but strongly encouraged us to ask someone else to be an officer. Thank you for those suggestions. Of course, on behalf of all the cousins, we are grateful to those who have served either as officers or taken on other important tasks, like ensuring the success of the reunion, the picnic, and other activities. There are many important efforts that don't require being an association officer to accomplish. We encourage everyone to consider what role, what project they may like to undertake to further strengthen and connect our family. The nominating committee, again, like all Hendels, are grateful for the amazing job President Shelley Zelson has done these past 2 years. They were wonderful years for our family, and Shelley led us with energy, determination, and diplomacy. Thank you, Shelley. This year's nominating committee assignment was special. For the first time in many years, we were asked to recruit a new treasurer to fill the unfillable shoes of Diane Smith, and a new recording secretary to fill the unfillable shoes of Brenda Hendel. Some family members have not known any other treasurer or recording secretary other than Diane and Brenda. They've held a monopoly on that job. Diane and Brenda, thank you. Your love of family is inspiring and exemplary, and we all admire and love you. Now, finally, onto the talk list. The nominating committee has assembled a wonderful, strong slate of officers and hopes it will be approved unanimously. If anyone doesn't agree with the slate, you will be required to indicate which cousin you don't approve of and who you nominate in place of that family member. This, you may deduce, is not my first nominating committee rodeo. Madam President, the 2024 Hendel Family Association Nominating Committee hereby submits the following slate of proposed officers for the consideration of the association's members. President, from the Samuel branch, Barry Schiff. Vice President from the Richard branch, Peggy Grow. Treasurer from the Julius branch, Donald Hendel. Recording Secretary from the Richard branch, Rebecca Slater. And Corresponding Secretary from the Solomon branch, Stephen Smith. The report is hereby submitted.
I make a motion that we accept the slate of officers. All in
I'll
favor,
second it.
say aye.
Yes. Aye.
Okay. So Don, are we ready to install the officers?
Oh, I was muted. Sorry. We're ready, Shelley.
Okay.
I'm gonna move this way. Okay. To the nominated officers, other than the president, you have been duly elected to your respective offices and have been entrusted with the duty and responsibility of faithfully discharging the duties of your respective offices. You are further charged with the duty and responsibility of upholding the Constitution and bylaws of the association and of effectuating and preserving the purposes of the association. please raise your right hands. We're going to assume you're all doing that. Do you hereby promise that you will support and abide by the Constitution and bylaws of this association, and that you will faithfully, impartially, and honestly discharge the duties of the offices to which you have been elected to the best of your ability? Please say, I do.
I do.
I hereby declare you duly installed to your respective offices. Now to the incoming president. You have been duly elected as the president of the Hendel Family Association for the ensuing year. As president, you will preside at all meetings of the association, preserve order, decide all questions of order, subject to the appeal to the body, appoint all necessary committees, call meetings in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution and bylaws, and generally manage the affairs of the association insofar as such management has not been specifically reserved by the Constitution and bylaws to the other officers. As president, you have been entrusted with the leadership of the association and with the duty and responsibility of upholding the Constitution and bylaws of the association and of preserving and effectuating the purpose of this family association. As president, we look to you for leadership and wise counsel in conducting the affairs and carrying out of the objectives of this family association. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly promise and declare that you will support and abide by the Constitution and bylaws of the Hendel Family Association, and that you will faithfully, impartially, and honestly discharge the duties of the office of the president of the association to the best of your ability? Please say, I do.
I do.
I hereby declare you duly installed as the president of the Hendel Family Association for the ensuing term. Will you therefore please assume the office of president and proceed with the order of business before this body?
Yes. Thank you, Donnie. And thank you, Shelley, for a wonderful couple of years as president. I appreciate the family putting their trust in me, and I will do the best I can. One of the things that I am looking forward to is getting more of the younger family members involved. I'm brainstorming as to how to get that done. With other associations I've served in, we've kind of figured out that younger members of associations like to be contacted by text, not by email. So one of the things that I may put forward is to try to see if that would work here, that we could have something maybe called Hendel Connect, where we connect with younger members of the association as to upcoming family get-togethers, maybe on a local or regional basis, and see if that might, bring more people to meetings. And I look forward to a prosperous year for the association and good health for everybody in it. I think that's all I've got for you right at the moment.
Thank you. One thing, I just want, Steve, do you want to install Don as the treasurer?
I would say he self-installed, just like Napoleon.
Okay, that's good.
Emperor, rather than making us suffer through
Okay.
repetition.
Yeah, that's fine. So now Barry is president. Does anyone have any questions for him?
Is it okay for me to call Peggy Grow and congratulate her?
Yes, absolutely.
I think she's at a meeting right now, but yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Hopefully she won't be surprised by the call.
No, she won't be.
Yeah, we're thrilled that she is taking this job.
Yes.
And I loved it that all of the officers representing almost all the branches of the family, a very diverse group of officers.
Barry,
Yes.
I want to add one more thing. I'm taking a personal privilege. Even though he's not an officer, my nephew, Matt Nguyen, who's there on our pictures,
Hello.
could be unofficially our vice president of genealogy because he has done a spectacular job looking into all branches of the family. He's done an amazing job looking at the matrilineal descendants from our great grandmother Sarah Engelson. So even though he's not an official officer, I really appreciate all the work he's done looking into our genealogy, and I hope he continues to do that and share that with the family. So thanks, Matt.
We'll definitely continue. Thank you.
Barry,
Yes.
this is your favorite mother-in-law. Wishing you well.
Thank you.
It's not easy working for these jobs. It's not. We appreciate the work of so many in the past, and I wish you well with your new venture and want those who have accepted positions to wish them a lot of pep.
Could I
Thanks.
interrupt the meeting just 1 second? I'm Buddy Resnick and Barry. I don't know that we really even know each other, and then here we have the family. But could you just tell at least me and maybe all of us a little bit about who your parents are and grandparents and what your connection is into the Hendel family?
Well, I'm an outlaw. I married Pamela Takath, Beverly Takath's daughter. So I am
got it.
the outlaw grandson of William Hendel.
Yep, I know, of course.
Okay.
Well, William and Lillian were married in my grandmother's home on Broad Street when they brought William over from the old country.
Okay.
But I have to leave the meeting, that's why I'm interrupting. And each one of my 96-year-old eyes is getting a little bleary right now. So I want to wish you all well and hope that everyone enjoys the rest of the meeting, that you all prosper in various ways. So bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for the
Thank
most
you.
senior member of the family. Thank you,
Yes.
buddy.
Thank you, buddy.
Diane Smith, you and I will talk in the next few days. We'll figure out how to transition over.
Okay, sounds good. I sent you a note. I don't know if you gotten it.
You sent me an email?
I did.
Okay, I'll
read
check.
that first. Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, thank you. Gotta run. Thanks, everybody.
Yes, I
Thank you.
think we can adjourn the meeting.
Well, before you do, Shelley, to the board, to the new members of the board, I'm planning on having a Zoom business meeting to get acquainted with everybody in February. I'll schedule it and you'll get an email about it. That's what I got.
Great.
Good luck, Barry.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Good luck, Barry. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Take
Bye.
care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, thank you.
Shelley, thank you.
Yep.
Jay's gone.
Everybody.
I assume we're adjourned.
Bye-bye.